Someone do 3 poems?
A few little.
This isn't a slam poet.
No, I'm kidding.
Now.
So, we're here to celebrate change. I'm a nerd. I love learning new things. I was taking an anthropology class in college, and one of the projects I took on was taking everything that I would wear for a day and finding out where it came from. Where, you know, all of the industries that was involved in putting me together. And around that time, I love Mardi Gras. Being from the South, I would always go to New Orleans. And so I had gone to Mardi Gras and had already had my collection of beads and memories to share with everybody. And so I was doing some research on where the Mardi Gras beads come from. And you don't have to think really hard, but most of those beads are made in China. Well, there was a group of people who went over to China and they were investigating the working conditions of the people who make these Mardi Gras beads. And of course, now mind you, at the time of this, they had just went on strike in China, and they considered this to be a success when they didn't get a raise, but they got to work more hours. And they made 12 necklaces just to get 1 cent. That was the equivalent of what they were making. And they couldn't understand why Americans were so enthralled with these gaudy beads that they were slaving to make. And what they did is the group showed them what Americans do with the beads. So you can imagine their perception of us. And then this same group went to Mardi Gras and was asking people, you know, where do you think the beads come from? And they didn't really care. So I wrote about it, and it's called Sweatshop. In the sweatshop, they knew all too well that the human body is made up of 70% water. They have learned out of necessity how to cry tears from out of their backs, which roll down their arms, drip from the tips of their fingers, and they are sobbing without water in their eyes. Their tear ducts are broken water pipes because we force them to stare into the pipe dream of our success, with our foot on their necks, peeling their eyelids back far enough that it doesn't slant, while whispering in their ears, "See, this is what freedom looks like." I gotta figure out where I'm at. But all they see are kaleidoscopic distortions of Mardi Gras beads, and we, of all people, should know better. Their current lives are bathing in the sorrows of our ancestors, and I'm not talking about the ones who built it. I'm not talking about the ones who dreamed free enterprise into existence. I'm talking about the ones who built it. The same ones who now sell stocks and bonds on Wall Street generations back, so my heritage bound and shackled on this same street. And they took amendments after a civil war to allow me the freedoms promised in the first 10. So why should we be surprised that our foreign interest is tied to markets reliving our past sins? Instead, we barter Mardi Gras beads and moon pies for glances. Glances of beautiful breasts, naked flesh pressed against balconies by the thousands, mocking the auction blocks we used to stand on. Slinging beads with flippant wrists we pay $1 to $20 for because we can, because we're bored. Beads that we spill in the streets without an afterthought to those necks that we currently stand on. We, of all people, should know better. Our businesses are running to sweatshops in China where workers don't know Abraham Lincoln. But no, they have to make 12 necklaces just to earn the equivalency of 1 cent. See, capitalism isn't evil. But our corporations flock to locations where our freedoms don't have to be practiced. Places where people can still be auctioned. They work their knuckles raw in modern-day factories like yesterday's plantations. They make less than minimum wage, and the only way to get a raise is to simply work more hours outside of our America. American conglomerates are enslaving souls in Cambodia, India, and Nicaragua, and as close as Haiti and Mexico, and we don't blink, we just buy. And I don't care how you say it, it's still slavery if you never pay someone enough to earn their freedom. But for some reason, this method oils our machine better, makes shareholders' profits margin larger, so that now we can say the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag made in Taiwan and be proud of it. Don't care if little kids in Pakistan slave over the next brand of Reebok or Nike, so long as we own it. Our company is averaging 140% profit over rape labor and claim these people are grateful for it, while we cast bees into the street without a second thought about those who sweat to make them. See, these people know all too well that the human body is made up of 70% water. They've learned out of necessity how to cry tears from out of their backs, which roll down their arms, drip from the tips of their fingers, and they are still sobbing. No water in their eyes. The other 30% is made up of chains. And after having worn them for so long, we of all people should know better. So somebody help me take them off.
Whoa.